All right, today on our episode of Fix This Old Isuzu. Long story short, a couple of these Isuzu trucks we have here at the shop. Um, I could say the lift on the back won't even open up because there's just too much weight on them. They're about an inch and a half too low in the rear. They were overloaded since we began. But to fix this, here's our upgraded spring, which I ordered 3 months ago. They never showed up, so I took it down to the local spring shop in Tacoma. They added on these 2 leaves, the longer nut in the middle, and I'm basically swapping it out. There's the rear shackle. Undid all of our U-bolts and whatnot. They were riding on the bump stops. If you look at the hold on a second. There you go. You can see it's been hitting it for a while. And then the front, same deal. This whole thing is just basically leaning. Guys, don't help that they're being overloaded a little bit, but this one is the replacement, the new one. It actually has a way buffer leaf spring to it, a little bit taller. The only thing I did have to modify on the front ones, this one, like I said, is the new one I just put in place. I did end up dropping the shock a little bit, and it compensated just enough to slide this little bit thicker spring in. Other than that, put on your little stud here for the sway bar link, and we'll be putting that back on as soon as the other side's done. The other side over here, this is the original equipment. I'm pulling this all apart right now, actually. 24 millimeter socket on these bigger ones, 19 on the back side of the nut or bolt. These lower ones are a 19. Not crazy tight, but now if you notice, this has got one less spring or leaf than the other side. These are the originals and they're pretty beat up. Even brand new ones, they just don't hold the weight. I think ours were underrated from the gate. But the other side's already done. This is the old spring, and that right there is the new spring. Extra leaf, a little thicker. We're putting our new spring in on the rear side as well on this one. I don't know if you want a part number or anything. These were actually brand new springs, but still not enough force to keep this thing up high enough. So I've got this thing sitting where the rear axle can't roll, and it's not stretching the sensor wires as well. We're looking good. A little bit cocked in the drive line, but that ain't gonna hurt her. These are heavy as hell. Don't try doing this without the right equipment. Front and rear shackles and U-bolts to the bottom. And on what I was basically saying about the U-bolts, here is the old U-bolt. For the new springs, though, they are not long enough. They're for the local company. I might as well throw them out there. Their name is Right Way Spring, and they are in Tacoma. They did this same day, basically, man. You guys are really quick, quality work. Speak well. Can't say nothing about them. But I'm going to go ahead and continue replacing this one. And as I said, don't forget to loosen your shock just a little bit on that 14 mil. And that'll drop it just enough. Don't take it all the way off the top of the threads. But if you sag it just a little bit, it's just enough to get that new replacement, upgraded, little bit thicker spring in there. Bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this slapped together. We'll start working on the back and go from there. All right. Whew. Skinny man. I don't do this so well. Anyway, we got this thing all mounted back up. Our stock U-bolts did end up working when I anticipated they would, and they still got a hair of thread sticking out the bottom too, so we're safe. There are 2 sets of wires on the backs of these. Be careful. You got your brake line and your wheel sensor line. Be careful, do not stretch those. It takes about getting them to the end. Long story short, what I was able to accomplish on this is if you take this and pivot it that way, this end forward, after the front bolt is undone, this bolt has to slide out going that way. And it is like a lug or a stud on a wheel, where it's got the little grate on the back that holds the, man, I'm fumbling for words. Anyway, this has to go below the frame so that it can actually come out that way. So you got to put that first before you do anything. I loosened this up and was able to maneuver that down. And then that bolt, once I angled this back up in the position it's at now, I was able to put that one back in, put my top plate, my U-bolts, line up the little dowel pin inside of there, jack this up, get all the U-bolts tight again. Therefore, she works great, fellas. That's how we did it. And these are upgraded springs with 2 extra leaves. This should definitely accommodate any extra weight you put in one of these. Thanks for watching.